Hi everyone, welcome to my talk on application testing methodology and scope-based recon. My name is Bothra and I will be guiding you through my own application testing methodology and scope-based recon approach which I follow for my own pen testing and bug bounty. It helped me a lot in the past to quickly gain a pace into bug bounty and get some good result out of it. Before diving directly into the topic, I would first like to thank Omar, GrayHat Conference and Red Team Village for inviting me to present my views to all of you. A quick introduction about me. I currently work as a cyber security analyst at Detox Technologies. I am a Synack Red Teamer. I am currently into top 115 Bugcrowd all-time leaderboard, MVP for Q1 and Q2. I have authored multiple books on hacking recommended by AICTE and NITTR-Chandigarh. I often blog about security findings that I have. I speak at the conferences for various topics like Recon, broken cryptography, and similar other topics. Sometimes I write poems and all, and I am a lifelong learner like you all are. The agenda for today's talk would be to talk about application testing methodology, how I created my own methodology and how I apply it. Further, we will be looking at threat mapping, manual testing approach, Recon 101, what is scope-based Recon methodology, how you can utilize it, what are the various small, medium, and large scope Recon. At last, some of the offensive Recon tactics that I use, and ultimately, if you have any question and answer, you can bombard it. Okay, so first, let's talk about application testing methodology. It is really crucial to understand that whenever you are performing a pen test or doing bug bounties, having an approach, having a methodology always helps you out to stay ahead of your target, be organized. So these are few 7 steps that I usually go about while doing any pen test or participating into any bug bounty program. The first thing is define the target scope. Defining the target scope always helps you to stay in a particular scope and eliminates the chances of being out of scope and ultimately save you from unnecessary hassle that you might do. Secondly, understand the application's business logic. This is the crucial step. A lot of people, they directly jump testing the application. Now, before performing an attack, always make sure that you know that your weapon are completely fine. They are completely ready. You know your enemy well. So navigate an application like a normal user, understand the various workflows of the application. If there is an e-commerce application, understand what all workflows it goes through, from selecting a product to adding it to the cart, from purchasing it to refunding it or like that. Try to create a threat map in the third step. Based on the various functionalities, try to create a threat map. Okay, there is a functionality of refund. Can I abuse it? If yes, then what are the possible theoretical ways to abuse that? We will look at threat map in the next section. Further, perform scope-based recon, which will again, we will look at the next section in the brief. Now, once you know that you have a threat map, once you've started doing your recon, now it's time to perform manual pen test while your automation happens in the background, right? In the manual pen test, you will fire your tools like burp suit or any other proxy tool that you prefer, and then you will start testing every single functionality for every single test case. Like if there is a authentication mechanism, you might test for SQL injection, you might test for direct request, you might test for IDOS or some other issues like OAuth misconfiguration if applicable. Now, further, you might need to perform application specific attacks. Now, application specific attack might be like the application is using Java. So there might be a possibility of Java deserialization issues. Application is built upon Ruby. So there might be some Ruby gadget chain deserialization issues. You have to be specific as per the application. Apart from the generic OWASP top 10 or Sense 25, there can be any category of the bug that might exist. Further, you can go based upon what is the use case of the application. If it's an e-commerce application or if it's a financial application, you might need to be specific according to that test case or that use case. Now, make sure that whenever you are doing this, you always learn what you lack. There is a lot of times I feel like I'm less confident in maybe SQL injection, so I should go back, spend some time on learning SQL injection, and again come back and hit on the target. Now, one thing that I would like to mention over here is never get into lab mentality, because a lot of time beginners get into lab mentality and they never feel that much comfortable testing real application. and they get demotivated easily because they are not finding anything out there. Labs are designed in such a way that they will be hackable, and somewhere we have like a mindset, a mentality in our mind running that okay, this is something hackable, right? So just make sure that you don't get into lab mentality, that it's easy. That's what you will see in the real life. Real life is totally different from that experience. Now, further threat mapping. Threat mapping is something which a lot of people might not know or might miss. Basically, threat mapping is totally a different process than the regular pen testing, but why you should use it? Because it will give you a better approach, a better view to look at your target. Now, let me tell you why. When you navigate the application, you know that what all the workflows application has, what all the possible endpoints, functions, components, or whatever application holds or application consists of. Now, suppose there is a function A. What if you theoretically imagine the attack scenario for that function A? So, say an attacker can, delete the A function from user B's account, or an attacker can basically, pop up an XSS or payload or something else into the A functionality, something like that, right? So, having a mindset about each functionality will give you a good idea about possible test cases, right? So threat mapping helps you to understand that what could be the possible test cases for each applications, each functionalities, and each component. Now, how you go about threat mapping? So threat mapping, threat modeling, hunting, they are like totally a different process. But to again like make it very quickly easy to understand and possible for everyone to implement, I have again divided into 5 steps. Navigate the application. While you are navigating, list down all the components and the functionalities. Once you have all the components and the functionalities, write down theoretical attack scenarios for each function. Like I said, like for a function, I can do this, I can do that, I can perform XSS, I can perform SQL injection. Okay, you will have to create some theoretical attack scenarios. Create possible impact scenarios based upon what is the impact upon confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And can an attacker perform create operation or read operation or update operation or delete operation on a particular function? So, for example, there is a cart functionality. So, what we can say, is it possible for an attacker to add something to another user's cart? Now, this is something called create. You are creating a cart. Is it possible for an attacker to read something from other user's cart? This is you are doing viewing, read functionality abuse. Can you update somebody else's cart? You are abusing update. Can you delete something from the other person's cart? It is abusing the D. So basically, if you are looking at the CRUD impact scenario and CIA impact scenario, you can again, narrow down those theoretical attack scenario for better test plan. Now, you will have a wide set of test cases to perform on your pen testing or your bug bounty assessment, whatever you're doing. Now, make sure that you verify all those test cases while you perform your assessment, and it will be guaranteeing you that there will be a high chance that you won't miss anything obvious at least, right? Now, once you move out of threat mapping, we have to move towards manual pen testing approach. Again, the important thing is understand the application workflow. So if it's an e-commerce application, what is the workflow of purchasing some product? So you might need to go to login to a particular panel, then you have to go to some particular product, add some quantity, then add address and everything, every shipping details and everything, and then you have to check out. And is it possible to break the workflow somewhere and do some malicious task? So understand the application's workflow. What are the normal, usual workflows the application offers? Then, run your brain to do some mischievous tasks that, hey, is it possible to break this scenario in any possible way? Secondly, figure out the various possible flows of the same feature. Now, it might be possible that add to cart functionality or purchasing something might have some different workflows. Like you can go to a new product, you can add it to the cart and you can purchase it, or maybe you can go to your wish list and directly purchase a product from there. So there might be multiple workflows for a single functionality, say purchase over here. Try to break those application flows. Test every possible test case for each individual functionality, like test like XSS for every single input, point or every single endpoint where you feel like data might be reflected or data might be stored somewhere. Do not miss any test case, even if it's complicated. Try it. Go out of your comfort zone. If you feel like I'm not good with XCC, try it. There is nothing bad in trying. You will learn a lot of things along the way. Rely less upon the tools. Proxy tools are really good go in terms of manual pen testing. Again, learn something new if you are stuck at something, and again, start hacking. I would again emphasize that don't make a lab mentality. Instead, learn something, apply in 1 or 2 labs at max, and start hacking in the real life applications. Because the more you will hack on the labs, the more comfortable you will be with the labs only, instead of being into the real environment. Now, let's jump to my favorite topic, Recon 101. I have given a lot of talks before on Recon. So, again, I will be quickly going through this particular phase. So, Recon is nothing but increasing your attack surface, discovering and creating a better attack surface so that you can find more and more security issues, you can uncover more vulnerabilities. Looking at the less traveled road is going to give you more success. So if you are able to widen your scope to a great extent, there is a huge possibility that other people might not have done that already, and there's a huge possibility that you will get valid bugs. Digging assets of your target to the deepest point possible is the ultimate aim of the recon. Again, recon is not equals to security issues, but it will increase the probability of getting security issues, the valid ones, instead of duplicates. Now, busting some myths over here, recon equals to bugs. No, recon is not directly equals to bugs. Rather, it's equals to asset discovery and increasing your attack surface, which will enable you to find more and more bugs. People say that recon is all about manual approach, but no. The best way to perform recon is to use hybrid approach using both automation and manual. So there are a lot of things which you can automate, like subdomain enumeration, subdomain takeovers, and other things. However, there are things like GitHub Recon, Google Dorking, which still need, like you are searching on Shodan or something, they still need manual intervention to be better at. People again say that Recon is time consuming, but if you perform it properly and automate things in a right way, you can save a lot of times. What you can do is you can create your own scripts to automate, say, subdomain enumeration, subdomain takeovers, some particular fuzzing and all. And then at the same time, you can start performing manual GitHub Recon, manual Google Dorking, or if this GitHub Recon is not in scope, you can directly jump into performing manual pen testing, right? So you are doing two things in the parallel, saving a lot of time. People think that recon is all equals to subdomain enumeration, who is port scanning, fuzzing, etc. But this is not the case. It's all about how creative you could be, like where all you can go and possibly look for the exposed credentials or maybe anything which will enable you to increase the attack surface. Yeah, this is true that these above methods are some of the well-known methods, but never limited. Security is a beautiful field which is never limited to anything. Every single day, there's a lot of research coming out. There's a lot of new tools and techniques coming out. So yeah, it's never ending and never limited. Now, now again, talking about one of the my own approach, the scope-based recon, which simply is a methodology to divide how to perform recon when a specific scope is provided. And this is very much important actually, because if you are blindly performing every single reconnaissance thing on every kind of scope, this is not gonna give you a good result. You might go out of scope, you might waste a lot of time. But on the other hand, if you know your scope and if you know that what you have to do in a specific set of scope, you will be good to go. You will be knowing that, okay, what I have to look for, where I have to look for, and what I will be finding after it. Now, there are basically three type of scopes when we talk about scope-based recon: the small scope, the medium scope, and the large scope. Now, why scope-based recon? It saves a lot of time because you know that what specific things you want to look for. You can easily automate your own recon workflow. You can just okay, in your small scope recon, you just want to do subdomain enumeration and subdomain takeovers. You can write a small script using 4 or 5 tools for subdomain enumeration, and then you can just simply probe them and send it to the subdomain takeover tools and try to see if it's working for you. There are less chance to submit out of scope issues. And just like other security methodologies, it enables you to perform a better reconnaissance. Now, let's quickly look at the small scope, medium scope, and the large scope recon. So when we talk about small scope recon, we specifically look for specific set of URLs. It may be sandbox URL, QA or staging environments. Like you will see a lot of time sandbox.target.com or QA staging.target.com. In medium scope, we consider star.target.com, where we say that all the subdomain of target.com are in scope. Where in large scope, we consider that every single thing, the internet presence, acquisitions, copyright, everything related to that organization will be in scope. Now, in small scope recon, let's look like what we have to look for while performing the recon. So these are the few common things that you should look for, like directory enumeration and brute forcing. First, the directories to the possible endpoints. Do it recursively. A lot of time, slash admin directory might give you 403 errors or 401 errors or something like that. But if you're trying to do it recursively, you might find a directory say slash admin slash data or slash admin slash data slash usernames, and which might not be protected. Perform service enumeration to see what services are powering up your system, and you can further check if there is some CVs for that or any public exploit for that. Perform port scanning if it's in scope to check for other ports. Perform broken link hijacking. It's again like subdomain takeover, but here like there might be some social media links or some third party links which can be taken over. Look for JS files for hard-coded APIs, secrets, and credentials. Perform parameter discovery and automate for the XSS and other tools. Perform wayback history, wayback URLs, Google docking to look for the potential endpoints and URLs to further see what you can possibly do. You can use various GF patterns to end and automation scripts to automate accesses, SSRF, and other tools. Now that last point totally depends upon how you want to automate things. Here, automation plays a really good role. Now let's look at medium scope recon. In medium scope recon, the most of the things stay same except for a few. Like here we look at subdomain enumeration because star.target.com is in scope. So subdomain enumeration is really important. Further, you can perform subdomain takeovers. You can check for misconfigured third-party services. You can check for misconfigured storage options like S3 buckets. You can go for GitHub Recon, and a lot of time we find a lot of good things on GitHub. And further, you can perform Google Doc for increasing the attack surface, finding more subdomains. You can perform internet search engine discovery using Shodan, Census, FOFA, Binary Age, and Spice. Spice is a new yet good tool. I use it personally for a long time now. Shodan and Spice are the two tools which I prefer to have in my arsenal. Again, potential URL extraction for vulnerability automation is the same like we did before. And in the large scope recon, this is the favorite part that, there is a lot of things that you can basically do. And this is where I did something for one of the private program on the Bugcrowd, and I got from like, say 1000 rank to 200 in just a month time, right? So tracking and tracing every possible signature of the target application, like trace and track, like okay, after 10 days there might be some new subdomains coming, there might be some new acquisitions happening, there might be some new branding of that particular target might be launched, there might be some companion websites of that target might be launched. So when we say large scope recon, every single thing would be in scope. Perform enumeration on subsidiaries and acquisitions. So go to the maximum depth. So say you are performing subsidiary enumeration on target. So target might have a subsidiary called target1.com, which again might have a subsidiary called target2.com. So now you have to again go through target2.com. Everything in target2.com, target1.com will also be in scope. You can go and check for DNS and SSL enumeration, ASN and IP space enumeration. Further, like you can go for GitHub Recon, and there you can find a lot of things on GitHub, because every single thing, every employee's profile will also be in scope, and if they are specifically using some assets which are related to again target, you can utilize internet search engines over here in a very beautiful way. And there might be various methods, not just limited to them, but these are some of the things that you should and must look for. Now, this concludes the most of the part of small, medium, and large scope recon. Now let's look at some of the offensive come smart recon tactics. These are like again very short tactics, as I always tell people. Whenever you're doing recon, just choose your scope and based on that, choose your scope based recon method. Create a script for automating your scope based recon. I have created a project called Project Beam over GitHub. You can go to GitHub and search for it, and you can ultimately try to see if it fulfills your need for scope based recon. In Project Beam, we introduced the scope based recon feature. So you have to just say that I want to do small scope recon or medium or large scope recon. So it will do the task accordingly, which are predefined. Run your automation scripts over cloud because it's fast. It will save your system's processing powers so that while you are performing burp suit, testing with burp suit and some other tools, you won't face any lags. Manually perform recon on GitHub and perform search engine docking manually while your automation completes, or you can also perform manual pen testing while your automation completes. You can further create cron jobs or schedulers to rerun the recon task to identify new assets on a specific time interval, and again compare those and see, okay, now after 1 month there are 10 new subdomains and I have 10 fresh targets to look for in a program. Implement alerts or push for Slack or preferred board so that every time you are finding some new assets, you will be notified. So doing all these things, try to implement those things by your own. I highly recommend, because Project Beam is also not something very big. It's just again a bash script with a collection of pre-existing tools only. So try to write your own tools like that way. It will give you a really good experience, because when I wrote Beam, I got a really good experience about a lot of things which I was not aware of before, managing a lot of things and how to put all the things together. So this basically concludes this particular talk. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on the following channels. I am most active on Twitter. And once again, I would like to thank GrayHat Conference, Red Team Village, and Omar for inviting me and allowing me to share words with the people. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Thank you.